right now this morning, we had a case that, the insurance carrier denied. And we fought it out. And we just got policy limit tender of $100,000 this morning.
Hello, and welcome to the Attorney Post, your guide to the inside scoop when it comes to all things legal. And now, here's our host, Justin West.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Attorney Post, where we discuss what's going on in various facets of the law with lawyers at the top of their game to help you navigate the ins and outs of various legal fields and jurisdictions. Because, as I always say, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Today, I'm very pleased to be joined with Kevin Rowe, who is half of the masthead over at Lerner and Rowe, which is an injury law firm out in, I guess I would say, kind of the Southwest. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Doing fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, here in a minute, we're going to dig into things. Let me first, sorry, I'm having Zoom issues. It's locking up on me. We're going to jump over and show your website. This is Kevin's website. It is lernerandrowe.com. As always, we'll have a link to his website down below in the description. They have a 24-hour free consultation hotline. That's 844 977-1900. That's 844-977-1900. Again, we'll have that below as well. So if you're in an area where they serve and you've been injured, give them a call. Because again, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Step number one, talk to an attorney, figure out what your rights are. We're going to read from just one sponsor today, and that is Groove Pages. If you love spending $5,000 to $10,000 to build a brand new website, and you love paying hundreds of dollars every month to host a platform that lets you sell products to your clients or your customers, then by all means, keep doing whatever it is you're doing. But if you're like me, I hate that stuff. And that's why I personally recommend Groove Pages, the all-new, all-in-one website funnel sales platform from internet marketing legend Mike Filsaime. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove to sign up for free and build a complete site at no cost. Really, truly, actually, for free, no credit card needed. And you can build, I believe, actually up to 3 fully functioning websites. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove. They have a huge list of apps. It's a platform that'll let you do webinars and sales funnels and websites and blogs and affiliate stuff and basically anything you can think of. It's a Swiss Army knife platform. To get started, again, no credit card needed. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove. All righty. That being said, I am joined again here with Kevin. I'm going to try and stop my screen share. I'm sorry, my Zoom is really flaky today, but we work with what we got. Well, thanks again for meeting with me today. Kevin is a prominent lawyer, obviously, and founder of Lerner and Rowe, injury law firm. They've got a remarkable track record. He's secured over $1 billion in settlements and awards for injured victims in his area, and he's dedicated his career to helping people in their time of need. He's a managing partner over at Lerner and Rowe PC. He oversees multiple offices in multiple states, but also personally handles complex cases involving serious injuries and wrongful death. His clients come from diverse backgrounds and have suffered from automobile accidents, slip and fall accidents, medical malpractice, and basically the whole gamut. Mr. Rowe's commitment to justice extends beyond individual cases, as he's also been involved in class action litigation for the benefit of the wider community. Alongside of his legal accomplishments, Mr. Rowe is deeply involved in philanthropy, having founded the nonprofit organization Lerner and Rowe Gives Back, which supports vulnerable community members in various areas. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well, I think. And with an exceptional educational background and numerous professional accolades, including memberships in prestigious legal associations, Kevin is a respected attorney and an authority in the legal field. Outside of his professional life, he finds joy spending time with his family and doing various outdoor activities and supporting military organizations. Having said all of that, my first question for you, Kevin, is what did I miss?
I don't know. It sounds like who wrote that? That was fantastic. That was some great stuff. Maybe bigger than I am. Look, I'm just I feel when we talk about this, I'm just a down to earth guy that cares about people. And at the end of the day, that's where I think all the stuff you just read, which is great that some people put together and put on a website. But the one thing that I think people will find is I'm not a guy that wears a suit and tie every day. I'm a guy that is very approachable, regardless if I'm on the street, in the store, at restaurant, or you're walking in my office. I don't find dressing up in $5,000 suits is appropriate. And I want people to understand that we're just people that want to help other people. So when people come in with a problem, I want to sit down and have a conversation with them. I don't want to feel like that some people are scared to speak to an attorney, or they don't know. And I want people to feel comfortable and be able to relate. So my partner and I, we dress how we dress. It's just casual and whatever we feel comfortable in. Same with our staff. We want them to feel comfortable as well too. Of course, if you're going to court, then we have an attire that you have to wear for that. But that's what I think it is. At the end of the day, I'm a very approachable person. I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm a family man. So outside of everything you just read, except for the little blurb at the end, I spend a majority of my time outside this office. I'm at home with my wife and my kids. I have an oldest that we were discussing earlier that just graduated Rice University May 5th, and now going out into the real world. Thank you. And then I have, it was so much fun with her. I decided to do it all over again. And I have an 8-year-old and a 4.5-year-old boy, 8-year-old girl and a 4.5-year-old boy. So pretty exciting stuff. So that's where my time is spent. And that's at the end of the day, what my life's about, helping people within the profession. And you, as you said, where I take a lot of pride in helping people outside of the profession. And we can get into talk more about that later.
That's awesome. Now, your oldest just graduated from Rice. Can I ask major business plans? Is she going to potentially look at law school? Or
so that's funny you say that. Absolutely not. She's not doing that. No, at one point in time, I really wanted her to do that. I just at this point, she really got involved in sports. She got a scholarship to Rice, so she played soccer at Rice, and that got her through that wonderful university. And she took a liking that at Rice, they don't technically have a business major. So they do sports management and marketing major. So business is into it. So she wants to get into the business of sports. That's what she really wants to do. So she's taking a job at the University of Florida to get her foot in the door. And she has connections with other professional teams. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, but no, law is not it. Although it should be, because she definitely argues with me a lot.
Well, I'm sure you brought that upon yourself. You know, that comes from being an attorney and raising a family, if I understand correctly. Yes, I'm in a similar boat because I have my degrees are in philosophy and history. So I do a lot of argumentation as well. Very marketable skills, obviously. Sure. I can ask the deep questions in life, like, do you want paper or plastic, or would you like fries with that? So, got to get into something where a lot more combative, a lot more argumentative, but, well, that's awesome. Nevertheless. And, obviously wish her, great success. And obviously, as the other two continue to grow, hopefully they are very successful as well. So, Kevin, if I didn't know anything about you and you and I were just stuck on an elevator for 30 seconds or a minute, and I was like, oh, hey, what's your name? Oh, hi, Kevin. What do you do? And I asked you that question. What do you do? Give me your 30-second pitch. Tell me who you are really. Tell me your firm. Who do you really help? What is your big goal? I know we've kind of talked about it all, but give me your elevator pitch.
Yeah. So the funny thing is this just happened yesterday afternoon. Went and got a haircut, and I sat down. Lady was cutting my hair, and of course they want to know, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And typically I'm evasive, but not really evasive, but I'm just kind of, I'm a lawyer. Oh yeah, you're a lawyer. But she kept asking questions and kept inquiring. So we had a nice conversation. All I say is I'm a lawyer in town. I help people in their time of need. So, people that are in car accidents, slip and falls, even bigger than that, have been part of drug recalls or product defects or medical malpractice, which we have a lot of, unfortunately, or at least a lot of people think that they've been injured as a result of a medical malpractice. So at the end of the day, I'm humble, and I want to listen to people. And if I can help people, I'll come right out. Right before I got on this podcast, I was talking to a young man that was involved almost in a same type of incident as a Gwyneth Paltrow ski accident. So it was interesting, and he's getting sued, but he has a witness and he has injuries and he wants to go back after her. And he's 25 years old and he doesn't live at home. So at the end of the day, he's sitting there trying to figure out, what do I need to do? And he's calling and asking for help. And I think it's really simple. I like helping people. I like helping good people go against big corporations or big insurance companies. It's the David and Goliath. I like being the small guy going against a big corporation, and something that most people don't think that they can do, or they think they need the money to go do it. And so if elevator pitch, I said it longer than 30 seconds. But
the elevator got stuck. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. We have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience in helping people over the many years, 25 years plus years. And the experience and results to kind of go with it. So at the end of the day, I think that's it. It's having that connection with people. And if you're just in it for the money, I can get you money. That's not it. That doesn't work. At least it's not me. Then you're in for the wrong thing. Sure, The money will come, but let's worry about the individual. Let's worry about their injuries. Let's worry about all the things they're going through. And then we can worry about the money later. So it's getting to know people. So if I'm sitting in an elevator with you, I'm not going to go rattle off all my successes to you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find out more about you. I'm going to find out more about if there's anything you have going on. And I think it's that connection, like I mentioned earlier, it's that connection that you get that draws people back, that draws people in. Or, oh my God, the guy that's on TV, or the guy that's on the billboard, or the guy that's marketing all over the place, I actually know him. I met him. Such a down-to-earth guy, such a nice guy, knowledgeable guy. And then they call, and that's exactly what happened with that phone call that I just got right before coming on here about the skiing accident. I've never met the kid, but I've met his mom. And I only met his mom for 2 minutes. And that was 2 years ago.
Oh,
wow. It's nice to have a phone call back and that they think of you.
That's awesome. Now, I was actually going to ask you, and to my listeners, feel free to Google Lerner and Rowe Mario Kart commercial. They have a lot. I've seen ones with flying pigs. Apparently, some people even threw a fit because they thought you actually hurt the poor cartoon pig or whatever. I was talking to a couple people that were involved in making that. So this is kind of a fun conversation. But how often do you have people come up to you and be like, hey, I know you from the commercial. You're that guy in the commercial. Do you get that pretty frequently or not that frequently?
Yeah, no, I get it relatively frequently. Or it is, how do I know you? How do I know you? I've seen you somewhere before. Yeah. So typically that's, we get, my partner does, I do, we get recognized pretty frequently. May not be exactly how they know us. They don't know exactly how they know us, but pretty often. I mean, our commercials that we've started since back in, I don't know, what was it, 2000 something. They've always been serious and fun. And we actually enjoy that. Coming out of Las Vegas, you can get away with a lot more fun, it's some silliness, and still get the same point across that, one, we're approachable, two, we know what we're doing, and three, we have experience, and four, we get results. So those things are kind of cool, but also playing with a little bit of fun. Come on, man, life sometimes can be too serious. Let's have some fun, making a commercial out there, getting ourselves out there known. So yes, we've had the race cars, we've had the helicopters. We've had our newest one that just came out was for the Super Bowl, which was Mario. I can't say Mario Karts. It was kart. It was a kart commercial with, we didn't have our letters.
Didn't even have the official. Yeah, I saw that. You didn't even have the official
and everything. We're actually K and G for Kevin and Glenn. We're both wearing red and blue instead of the different colors that are out there. But no, it was a lot of fun. And we do that stuff for Super Bowl. It gets out there. We have some silly stuff that we do. We've done it twice, 2 times or 3 times, Super Bowl commercial that we did that what you see is us wandering down the street or jogging down the street in a suit and waving, saying hi to people. Hi, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Great seeing you, da-da-da. And then an ambulance goes by and we say, got to go to work. and we run. And again, self-deprecating humor, we love.
Yeah.
Lawyers and people call us, ambulance chasers, sharks, whatever you want to throw out there. Bottom of the barrel, yeah, you hear it all. Under used car salesman, it is what it is. But honestly, when it really comes down to it, people that need us know that we're serious and that we're going to work hard for them. But yeah, we love having fun with the commercials. There's a lot of fun things. We had one that we did. And I know we're going to end up probably talking about some of this later on, but we had one we did that was Super Kevin. It's a comic type commercial. So I walk into a phone booth, but it's all the comic book graphics and everything. Walking the phone booth, come out, Super Kevin. Then I'm flying over the different cities that we're in. We only aired that commercial when we first got it. We aired it on Nickelodeon, Disney, and Cartoon Network. That is it. That's all. A little inside secret. That's all we aired it for the first couple months. Then we brought it to network about 2 or 3 months after we started airing it, and my phone was blowing up. It was blowing up because I had people calling with their kids either singing the jingle. How does my kid know your jingle? What is going on here? And it was cute, it was fun, but that's when you knew that you're really connecting with people. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun, and then we took it from there and did a lot of other things with it. But yeah, it's Mario Kart right now that you were just talking about. That's running on Cartoon Network and Disney Network. I mean, it's a silly, fun commercial that's good for the kids to see us playing around.
Super important question.
Yeah.
Can you sing the jingle?
Our jingle?
Yeah.
It's English or Spanish? No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Dial 977-1900. Interact, need a check, make one call. That's all. That's it. So those are basically some of our trademark slogans that we have. That's the jingle that we do. And we're freshening up the jingle right now too. And we just got done doing a Spanish jingle that kind of goes with it. It's a lot of fun. Man, it's been, Glenn and I have been together since 1998. And partnerships only last. I mean, marriages don't last that long, but partnerships typically don't last that long. And it's been a great, fun ride.
You guys are going on 25 years then.
Yeah, this year, August.
Is that where's that? The silver anniversary? Something like that.
It's a long time.
It is a long time. Well,
it's been awesome. A lot of this. No, it's been great.
That's life. That's how it is. Well, that's awesome. And my longtime listeners know I've always really appreciated injury law. I know you get a bad rap, and I love that you have self-deprecating humor and you really get it, right? The ambulance chaser and whatnot. That's why why we have all the lawyer jokes. Do you have a favorite lawyer joke? I'm sure you know a bunch. What do you call 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?
A good start.
A good start, yeah. But you guys really do. You make law accessible to people that otherwise couldn't afford an attorney. I just got through working with a couple of attorneys like a week ago over a copyright issue from 10 years ago, and we're talking, it was over $10,000 to settle this stupid thing. So frustrating. And for most people, they don't have that kind of capital outlay, especially if they're injured, right? And so I think you guys really do fill a very important niche in society. And you get a bad rap sometimes, sure, whatever, it is what it is. But I really respect the model that you guys work on, particularly the contingency fee, no fee unless there's a win. So people have nothing to risk, just to pick up the phone, get consultation, figure out what their rights are. So I'm 100% on board.
I appreciate it. And that's honestly, most people don't know that. They don't know that, hiring a lawyer like us, because what you went through, you probably had to do retainer down and pay hourly and stuff. So it's a lot different. But we're taking all the risk. We're making sure you get the treatment that you need, because you may not have health insurance. You may not have money for copays or deductibles. You may not have a primary care. So if you don't have a primary care and you don't know where to go, you're going to keep going back to the hospital and racking up bills that no one's going to pay. So it's not only the advice, but it's access to information and providers that you may never have access to. And I think that is, amongst other things, of course, but that is some of the things at the beginning of the case that's truly important, that you want to give us a call, because it is free. If we don't win, if we don't get you the money you deserve, then we don't get paid. And that's not necessarily just our time, right? I don't know if a lot of people understand, but time is money. That old slogan, time is money. When you're just starting out, you'll work any case as long as it takes, however long it takes to get the result that you want. And you may win, you may lose. And if you lose all that time for 6 years or 3 years, if you're litigating or whatever it may be, is gone, never going to get back. We have clients that one of the founding principles that we have is clients before profits. And it's important, because we're talking about contingency fee agreements. And sometimes in a contingency fee agreement, a case can resolve 7 months, 8 months. And it could be, you got a fantastic result, the client's getting a bunch of money and you're getting paid and everything's great. But we still have, in states, a reasonable attorney fee. We still have to look back to make sure whatever we got is reasonable that we did. Yeah. But then you have cases like a lot that we do that we fight on principle. We're able to do it because we're a little bit larger. So we have a little bit more resources and staff and time to be able to do this. But 6-7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer now, I'm not going to get into the name of the insurance company. There's a large insurance company here, nationwide, I shouldn't say here. And they're making it really difficult for claimants to get justice, for their injuries. They're making it very difficult. And these weren't big cases. And that's the problem, is they weren't big cases. So since they have high value on them, I think the insurance, and they did this nationwide. It wasn't like just here in Arizona. We have offices in many states, 8 different states, and we have license in many more states. So we see what insurance companies are doing across the nation. And the one thing this insurance company was doing was either denying or making you fight for every dollar and taking it to trial. And They were calling them the MIS claims, minor impact soft tissue claims, that they were really doing it for. I'm not going to get out and say that they were also looking for individuals that had last names that were either Hispanic or they were looking. I can't say that that's what they're doing because I don't have enough evidence, but there's a lot that were Hispanic last names. And it was cases that since we signed on the dotted line with you, I said I was going to fight for you. So if you do everything right, meaning you get yourself taken care of, you get your injuries, you get the treatment for your injuries, you've done everything right, and you did not lie, you did not exaggerate the truth, and everything is backing up, then I'm going to fight for you. And so we had over 130 cases in a 24-month period that we filed lawsuit on because this insurance company would make us go to arbitration. We would win at arbitration every single time, 99% of the time. And then they would turn around and de novo and make us go to trial. And then we'd have to try a case that, mind you, I said they're not large cases, substantial value cases, max 20 grand. But most of them are in that 12,000 to 15,000, 17,000 area. So if you're looking at that area, even if we win, we lose.
Yeah.
Monetarily, financially. You're going to fight, you're collecting your money. It could be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, but you're spending 3-4 years. And that's what I want to get to really at the end of the day. We take the risk, but it's also fighting for the little guy. And that's what we had to prove to the insurance companies that we were going to do. And when we look at clients before profits and fighting for principles, we do a lot of that here. And that's one of those things that I'm proud about, that because at that time, I'll tell you this, at that time, 99% of the other personal injury law firms were doing exactly what the insurance companies wanted them to do. Drop the claims, try to refer them out, or settle for nothing. Like they'd make offers of $1,000 and you have $3,000 or $4,000 in medical specials and and make you fight your way to get it. And most of the other law firms around here were just dropping, just saying, look, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. And so it couldn't be a worse disservice to a community, a state, and claimants that are injured through no fault of their own, mind you. Now, look, I think doing this for over 25 years, you're going to run across individuals that may not be of the most savvy character, and they may be trying to play the system. Those you see, that's not who I'm talking about. You see those, you drop those, you move on. I'm talking about people that were injured through no fault of their own, regardless if it's a political immigration status I'm not dealing with. They're injured. And we fought for them, and we continue to fight for them. And I think the nice thing that you see about it now is the insurance companies aren't doing that same thing where they want to continue to fight. Look, if there's certain things that people will fight on, liability damages, but if it's a reasonable value claim and we're asking for a reasonable amount of money, we're starting to see a lot more settlements because of what we're doing, fighting early on and fighting for the little people that deserve to have somebody fight for them. So when it comes down to contingency, absolutely. We're giving you the opportunity. It's all our risk. We're giving you the opportunity to get better, which is truly, truly important. That's what we want for you. We want you back in pre-accident status, if possible, condition, if possible, pre-accident condition. So there's that we give access, we take the risk, and we're going to fight. And if I signed on that dotted line, that retainer or that contingency fee agreement you were just talking about, then we're going to fight if we can't resolve it amicably. And
now,
again,
have you found that because you fight this way and you're so persistent, have you found that when people know that you guys are on the case, they're far more likely to settle favorably and not bring up these de novo suits?
Yeah, again, it's also, you have to be reasonable and you have to be fair, I think, at the end of the day. I mean, obviously you have some clients that, oh my God, my aunt's sister's brother's next door neighbor's dad got $1 million on this case. And, my case is just like that. No case is exactly the same. Obviously not if you're in the same car accident, but if you're reasonable and we're looking for maximum value that we should be able to get, then yes, we are seeing that same company that I was just talking about, that same insurance company I was talking about, we're seeing them pay more claims to us and knowing that they're not paying to other people. With either they're telling us or we're hearing through the community what everybody else is getting, or from the other lawyers themselves, what they're actually getting value on these cases. They're coming to us. I just had a phone call a month ago, 45 days ago. from another attorney, local attorney here. Great guy. And he's saying, hey, are you still having problems with this insurance company? I was like, of course, there's always going to be issues with insurance company. That's just the nature of the business, but not like we did 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And he was like, wow, we're still having this. We should all get us together so we can hire one lawyer or one or two lawyers and just fight them, have all our case together and fight them. And I go, well, unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, I'm already doing it. The same thing you're asking is what I'm already doing now. We have 2 or 3 attorneys. That's all they do is battle 1 or 2 insurance companies. That's it. And the nice thing is, I think that if you continue to fight, then you'll have insurance companies that understand the business and the reasonableness and the actual client. We're not being unreasonable and the money's looking around. I mean, if a case has $10 million in value or $100 million in value, it's worth 10 grand, whatever it is, we're fighting for what we believe is right for the client. And put yourselves in the shoes of the client. That's another huge thing. Now we have insurance companies that I think, and I'll just tell you, I think since we had the volume of cases and that we fought so much and we continue to fight, that we do roundtables with a few of them every single month. Where I mean that they actually will say, hey, we have the insurance company, we have 30 cases with you. The senior managing claims attorneys, the claims managers will come and either come into the office or do everything via Zoom and discuss the cases and get it resolved. Let's see if we can resolve them. So, and that's been good because I think at the end of the day, it's a good business practice. And for both of us, and it's great for the clients. It's our clientele is the working class. Majority is going to be the working class. They can't miss time from work. They want to get back to work as soon as possible. They could be 1, 2, 3 weeks, from being homeless, paychecks from being homeless, missing 2 or 3 paychecks. I mean, it's tough, especially right now in pandemic that we were talking about earlier. It's tough. And it's not they don't want to work. They just can't because of the injuries that have occurred as a result of somebody else's negligence. So, you have to understand what they're going through. It's not only just being an attorney. I mean, I majored in psychology, sociology, and emphasis in speech. So a lot of times you're a psychologist. You're a venting soundboard. They're venting to you, telling everything that's going on, and you just want to help them. And if you truly care about people, then this is a great field to be in, and you'll be very successful if you show that compassion and empathy towards others. I think it's big. Sorry, I kind of rambled, but it all kind of goes in with the contingency fee and how we can help others.
No, I mean, honestly, you were a good talker. I talk to attorneys all the time. I have them on the podcast. I talk to them in my line of work and everything else. Some people are just very, very succinct and they don't know how to have a conversation. But you're very conversational. But again, it's very well done. So I appreciate it.
And I think as we were just talking about, you talked about the elevator pitch, right? I think at the other day, it's that approachability. It's that I think that's what has my partners the same way. I think we stand out in that way and that we care, we want to learn more, and we want to help. So I think it's that approachability that stands us out from a lot of the others.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And I think that it's a very human touch, right? And again, one of the reasons I do this podcast is to humanize the attorney. Well, clearly you're doing a good job already, so keep it up. So let me ask you this. What got you into law, Kevin? Were you the kid that when everyone else was playing He-Man and G.I. Joes, you were like playing Matlock? Or did you, you obviously didn't go directly into law school. You got your BAs in psychology and sociology. What led you to law school? And then what led you into injury law?
So absolutely not. I was not one of those kids. I played a lot of sports growing up, football, soccer, baseball, basketball. I was a BMX racer at a certain time. I was a water polo player. I love sports. No, nothing was on my mind about what I was going to do after school was out. I can absolutely tell you that. My dad retired now, or semi-retired now. He likes to say that he's retired, but he still loves getting involved. But he was involved in real estate and savings and loan, president and vice president of banks and stuff like that. So I didn't know really what I want to do, and I probably didn't even understand what I want to do. I figured I was going to go to college and play soccer, and major in business, because that's what everybody did. Business. I'm going to be business.
Have a catch-all.
And that whole course took a lot of different changes. And like I went to University of San Diego first to play soccer. I got redshirted there. I left San Diego. I'm from Southern California. So I went to University of San Diego. I had a girlfriend that was a year younger than me. So she was still in high school. Then I transferred up to University of Washington to play soccer up there. And then ended up staying at Washington. But there's a lot of dynamics and that took place during that time that kind of got me to where I was. And one of the thing is that is my girlfriend that I spoke to at the time. Her dad was a lawyer and a great lawyer, insurance defense lawyer. And he was partner as a very, very large firm in Southern California. And I had the opportunity to work with him as like a runner and an admin and, you know, a gopher running all over the place doing stuff. But doing some of that stuff. And then as I would come back from college, I'd work with his firm during the summer, during winter break. Then when I graduated, I didn't know really what I wanted to do, but I felt like, man, I might as well just go to law school. He did. And I respected the heck out of him. So I was like, I might as well do that. And so I did. And I actually ended up going to the exact same law school he went to. And I had opportunities to go elsewhere, but that's where I went. And it was kind of one of those things. I kind of modeled my undergrad, not totally, but kind of what he did. And again, psychology, sociology, and speech were just one of those things that I think it's to know people. It's to be able to speak with people and be able to understand people. So it was, I got to be honest, and it was easy for me. I hate to say it was for me. I thought it was super easy. I didn't understand that people couldn't comprehend psychology. There's a lot of my friends that went the poli-sci route or went business route, but for me, it was relatively easy. I playing soccer, University of Washington, and then being a social chairman for a fraternity for 3 years, and then ended up being who's who in the psychology major nationwide. It was super. It clicked with me. But I ended up going to his law school, which was in Los Angeles. And the crazy thing about it is at the time I was in law school, it was the time period of the O.J. Simpson trial. And so everybody was eyes on LA. And my trial advocacy professor was Chris Darden. So he was my trial advocacy professor. So he was the African-American prosecutor that they stuck in there to try and even out the Johnny Cochran crew. Yeah. And basically the all white Marcia Clark, prosecutors. Yeah. And he is and was an absolutely fantastic individual. I got some insights back then that it's all now. He wrote his book In Contempt. He was very nice and signed it for me. But a lot of that stuff was not public knowledge at that time. So it was some great stuff that I got to be involved with. But so no, I all through law school, I worked with the same law firm. When I graduated, I was like, man, there's the offers are like $50,000 a year. And I was fortunate enough not to have undergrad loans, but law school loans, about $140,000 at the time, living in Southern California, making $50,000 before taxes. It just didn't resonate with me. And I got to be honest, I was burnt out, completely burnt out on law. I was done. So imagine this. Go to undergrad, go directly into law school, do 3 years of law school. I graduate and I'm done. I don't want to do law anymore. Bye-bye. Done. Imagine what mom and dad got to say about that. What? But I did. I was done. And I went into a completely different business direction. And I started help raising money for different sports teams and schools and clubs, and working for a very large fundraising company back then that was based out of Tennessee. And it was a great job. I didn't really have to do a whole lot. Made $5,000-6,000 a month as a young kid. Things were great. And that went on for about 18 months until a friend of mine comes up to me and goes, man, what is going on with you? You got your law degree, be a lawyer, work. And I was like, we argued and contemplated things back and forth. I was like, look at my life. It's so great. Everything's perfect. It's going to happen. What's going to happen? He's like, no, man, you got to meet you have to meet my attorney in Las Vegas. And I was like, all right, it's not like I can't do what I'm doing. I don't have to be here. So the irony is, as luck would have it, my dad had moved from California to Las Vegas. So it was nice. I was able to stay with him. Met my current partner, Glenn Lerner. At that time, he had a small practice called Budget Legal. Yes, that is 100% true. Budget Legal. Met him sorry, Siri wanted to talk to me. Met him over some drinks and some appetizers. He had things going on in his life at that time. He was just going through a divorce. And he goes, look, why don't you come work with me? I'm going to pay you $300 gross a week. That's killing it. Not. And why don't you come out here and you can have my office? My office. Whoa, I'm getting the owner's office? That's insane. I was so excited about that. Didn't ask the questions because realized I'm coming from a law firm that had 100+ attorneys that overlooked in Costa Mesa, Newport, overlooking, the nice homes and the beach. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting a partner or the owner's office. Whoa, this is so fantastic. Didn't ask where, didn't ask anything about it. I just knew I'm getting the owner's office and they all must be the same. Let me tell you something. Ask questions because they're not all the same. And I showed up to work, about a month and a half later, moved in with my dad, all my stuff, drove all the way down to where the office was. And I didn't ask where the office was before saying yes. We started out, our office was in North Las Vegas. Does anybody know North Las Vegas? Not most people do, because when you go to Las Vegas, you're not going to North Las Vegas. You're hanging out on the Strip. It's North Las Vegas is an area that is low income, great, fantastic people. I mean, majority of them, but low income area. Our office was about 800 square feet. It shared a wall with the La Carniceria Mexican meat market, and it was 2 doors down from a methadone clinic. So yeah, there you go. We're right there. We were right there on Civic Center and Lake Mead. Civic Center, not so downtown Las Vegas, and you can see will be on the left of the map. Oh no, I'm sorry. Downtown Las Vegas. No, go further. Look at you. We're on North Las Vegas and then downtown Las Vegas. Yeah. So not downtown. This is North Las Vegas. See, the great areas to live are actually, you have the Strip that's coming there. But North Las Vegas, Civic Center and Lake Mead was definitely in there. Yeah, you're right in the mix right there. You pulled it up. That's fantastic. Thank you for the anxiety that you're bringing me right now.
We'll get rid of the anxiety. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. But no, it was wonderful because I have a lot of stories that we could get into. That's probably not great for a podcast, but it was a great time for me to have the ability to be around people, because there's only 4 of us at that time. And one of the gentlemen is still working with us today, that he taught me a lot about personal injury, because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about personal. I know insurance defense side of it. And I saw a lot of things at the other company that we're doing that I know I didn't want to be part of. And I'm not really getting into that stuff, but they represented a lot of insurers that had coverage on religious organizations. And if you go back to the 1990s, 97, 98, or I should say 94, 95, 96, 97. So the mid 90s, early mid 90s, a lot of the stuff that's prevalent now that we see now with Catholic churches and this stuff going on, you didn't know about it then. Mm-hmm. It's not like it wasn't going on then, because it was going on then, but a lot of these things were settled out and stuff. So I had some exposure to that. And I know that's not what I wanted to do. And I also knew that you had to work with an insurance company at that time, that you're doing billable hours. What? And then they were telling you, no, I'm not paying for this. I'm not paying for that. What? So I might as well work. I love saying this because, you have the dark side, you have the rebel forces, or I could say I'm doing the Lord's work and we're representing people that, again, David and Goliath. I'd rather be helping people than helping insurance companies save a buck. So although we had very humble beginnings and very, very, again, small budget legal, 800 square feet, Glenn started doing some marketing at the time. It clicked in, we got some business, and it was great. It was great, but humble beginnings. And his office, the office was the size of his desk. The door didn't even open all the way because it would hit the desk. So my dreams of having that corner office with the view, I don't even have it now. If you look out here, the views of the parking lot that I have right now.
But occasionally your face drives by, so that's kind of cool.
Every once in a while you'll see a van with our faces on it, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it, man. This is just not very good. Things really haven't changed. If I sit here and think about this thing, I had no view then. 25 years later, I still don't have a view. Well, I haven't done anything. I've been convincing myself all along that we've been doing good stuff. I'm in the same boat. Don't follow what I'm doing. Stop the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
well, that just means it's time to get one more office. It's like a vacation office, right?
You know what? And what's funny thing is we still have an office, not that same office, but we still have an office out there. It's a testament that, still great people, great time. But like I said, it's very, very, very humble beginnings, and that's great. I think that makes you appreciate things a heck of a lot more. And also, like I said, you can be relatable. You can relate to people. If you have a dad, if you're fortunate enough to have a dad that's got tons of money and that he was a lawyer and he's working with you, I don't know if you have that same, upbringing and you can be as relatable. I'm not saying he can't. So everybody that's listening, my bad. I'm not trying to call you out. But no, I'm seeing the humble starts and the people we've helped along the way. It's been fun and it's been enjoyable.
It keeps you grounded too. I mean, it keeps you from being crushed to death by a giant ego. So
that's one thing you won't have to worry about me. Now, my partner, on the other hand, no, I'm just kidding. Definitely
we'll edit that one out in post. Make a note.
No, I agree with you. It definitely keeps you grounded. And again, if you keep focused on why you're doing what you're doing, which is for the people, it's not for the almighty dollar. Like I said, that comes if you stay focused and stay true to why you're doing this. Then you will be successful in a lot of different ways. And it doesn't have to be just financially driven, because I have a lot of people that come up to me. Hey, I'm going to law school. I want to be like you. I want to make tons of money. The average lawyer doesn't make tons of money. I think here in Arizona was the average law firm or the average lawyer that's taking sole practitioners in defense and so on. This is pre-pandemic because a lot of the salaries have gone up since then. But it was like $45,000, $48,000 a year. So if you're thinking about getting out here and having all this, like you're going to be able to pay off your student loans in 6 months and blah, blah, blah. It's not it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hard work, a lot of effort. And then, getting to know, I mean, they don't teach you the stuff in law school, how to run a business. They don't teach you any of that. And there's a lot of failures that have come across with that over the last 25 years. They teach you how to research. They teach you the generalization of, claims or tort claims or tort law. I mean, man, we even had federal tax law. I don't remember any of it. So hire a CPA that does, because it wasn't for me. I probably should stop, because when people ask me, should I go to law school? I'm the first person that says, no. I'd rather see somebody with experience. If we had what California's got, like Kim Kardashian's doing, you can do an apprenticeship program, get a hell of a lot more out of it than reading books. My 2 cents, my humble opinion.
To each their own. One of the questions I actually usually ask towards the end of the interview, you've kind of answered it a little bit, is, what advice would you give to someone if they were starting out in law school, if they were looking into law school? Like what advice would you give to someone in that boat? Like, no, I really do want to do this, whether they want to follow in your footsteps or not. Like what's the pitfall they should look out for? What's the trap that gets a lot of people? What advice would you give someone in law school?
I would tell them,
looking at
run, drop out,
other than run.
No, look, law is fantastic, and law school is great for the general appreciation of law. So regardless if you want to be an attorney or not, because a lot of politicians go to law school. Corporate businessmen go to law school. Entrepreneurs go to law school. And it's good because it gives them a hedge. Sports agents go to law school. So there's a lot of different things that you can do just because you're a grad. You don't necessarily need to be a licensed attorney to do them, but they do it for the background, the knowledge. What would I tell them? Look, it's an extra financial burden. Unless you have parents or you have grants that are scholarships that are paying for you to go through it. It's a lot. Law school's expensive. But it is. I kind of in jest say that run, but there's definitely great things about it because it gives you the general background that you want. To run a business, go politics, or whatever you may want to do. You don't necessarily have to be a lawyer. It doesn't set you up to pass the bar exam. That's for sure. At least it didn't back in 1920 when I was in law school. Yes, I exaggerated that.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. But I would say the first year is going to be your weeding out year. So keep your head down, focus on law during that first year. I unfortunately know more than enough people that had to drop out after their first year. But it's not for everybody. It can be difficult. And it's a different learning process. 99% of the law schools are doing the Socratic method, which is not fun. But it's a way. I mean, I would say just go watch Legally Blonde. There's your law school. I'm just kidding. I need to
work that question in. What's your favorite law movie or law TV show? That's a good one. Would yours be Legally Blonde? My Cousin Vinny.
I love My Cousin Vinny, actually. So the only reason why I brought up Legally Blonde is because my 8-year-old just did a play for Legally Blonde. So it was very cute. And I haven't seen the movie in a long time. But of course, since she was in the play, she had to watch the original movie and then 2 and all the other stuff. But My Cousin Vinny is fantastic. And it actually reminds me a little bit of, I was telling you about when we first started out, there was a gentleman I learned a lot from who's a little bit older than me, like 30 years. But he reminds me a lot of My Cousin Vinny character. He's as smart as a whip. And he's a brilliant writer. And he just cannot pass the bar exam. Hasn't been able to do it for years and years. But and it's probably because he studies for like 2 days before he goes to take it. But I'll tell you, My Cousin Vinny rings true in a lot of different ways. I'm a huge fan of all the Law and Orders, and that's not necessarily a movie, I know you said, but I love the Law and Orders. I love a lot of the criminal Law and Order shows or the criminal Dateline shows. I'm kind of one of those people that need to be involved and need to hear the craziness that actually is true story. You can't even make this stuff up. I mean, all the Law and Orders are literally based on some of the real stuff going on in life. It's insane. Yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have an absolute favorite that stands out, but I definitely love My Cousin Vinny. Yes, Legally Blonde is cute. That was for my daughter, 8-year-old. There you go, Addie. I put that in for you.
Hi, Addie.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll watch and make it this far into the podcast.
I'm sure she would. Yeah. She's like, Dad, this is the most boring after 10 seconds.
Addie, I just want you to know, if you made it this far, your dad will give you $10. Okay. So if you're seeing this, let him know you saw it.
Daddy will give you $50 because there's no way you made it this far.
Well, there you go. Now you'll find out one of these days when she's like in her 30s, she's going to call you up like, Dad, you owe me $10 or 50. Like, what for?
We use her. I use her. She loves being involved in a lot of the giving aspect that we do. So she's always, she's always likes to be involved in that stuff. She's interested in that kind of stuff. So, but you definitely will not watch this. I can tell you that.
That's okay. So let me ask you this. Obviously, and we just got through with the pandemic, and it affected everybody. And I've talked to attorneys in California, in Arizona, in Texas, in Florida, in New York, and all of them have obviously, based on their states, had different experiences of the pandemic. You guys have a multi-state practice, and obviously so many things changed for a year and a half, 2 years, and many things are probably never going to transition back. But how did the pandemic affect you guys? Is it something that like made you leaner and more efficient? Were there some just absolutely astoundingly amazing or stupid things that happened, and if you got any cool stories, or you had to zoom in to have a trial or something. What was your experience of the pandemic with your firm?
Yeah. And so, the pandemic was, I think it was scary at the beginning for a lot of people. But you got to realize that, we are in multiple states. It's not just Arizona, but we're in Nevada, we're in New Mexico, we're in California, we're in Indiana, we're in Illinois, we're in Tennessee, and then scattered around some other places as well too. And every state is
to a state near you.
But yeah, but it's interesting because every state reacted differently to the pandemic. Living in Arizona was fantastic because a lot of it was still open. You could still play golf. They allowed to have alcohol delivered to your house with your Postmates. It was crazy stuff. It was great. But I think as a larger company, it definitely made it difficult. It's like steering the Titanic, through the Suez Canal. It's not easy. I think it was difficult for us at the beginning, and then you have a drop in business because people are driving. They're not driving anymore. So if they're not driving and they're staying at home and they're sheltering in place, business is going to drop, across. And then it really comes to, how are we getting out of the pandemic? There's states that are just run differently than others. And I think Arizona, thankfully, the state where our headquarters is at and where we live, handled it differently. And people went back to work, I think, quicker in Arizona than they did in a lot of our states. So if you were to come here right now, and again, it's quite some time since, 18 months since the pandemic, or if you want to say that, a year, roads are crowded, people are out. COVID, what? Never even heard anything. It's a cold. It's people are doing their daily lives. Everything's open. Most people, it depends what sector of business you're in, have gone back to work. Now, as a law firm, it was difficult because a lot of people wanted to stay home. So it forced us to change some of our practices and how we did things. And that was difficult because our law firm is really based on culture and having people in the offices and collaborating with one another, or just having that interaction of, how was your day? What'd you do last night? And you're not doing this stuff now. And then you're doing what we're doing right now. You're on Zoom. And you're trying to have meetings on Zoom to try and bring everybody together so they can realize they can have that communication and stuff. And we're having fun Fridays and we're doing stuff, cocktail party on Zoom. But yeah, it's me at home. Yeah, cheers. Hey, it's not the same. Yeah. And then, so business went down in some states. In some states, it continues to be down. Because there's a lot of things that happen. You talk about pandemic, but it wasn't just the pandemic that changed a lot of these things. There's social justice. There's a lot of things that were going on at the same time. And when you look at cities like Chicago, they're facing a lot of different things that may have started as based on the pandemic, but haven't gone back. And so we have a lot of offices in Illinois. So that's difficult. We're not back to our pre-pandemic levels because you still have things going on in Chicago and Illinois that are going on. And then Arizona's back and thriving, but we still have a lot of people that once you brought work from home, once you took that genie out of the bottle, people don't want to go back. Some want to be back. Some love the interaction, love being with people, but others like, look, I want to be home. I have 3 kids, so it's better now. I don't have to pay for daycare, and I can be home, and I want more money, by the way, to be at home. And so it was difficult in a lot of different ways. You were losing people to go try different business ventures. You were losing staff. You were, trying to keep staff and pay more. People were trying to poach your staff and paying a lot more money. And because everybody was trying to find people, I think that was tough for us because when you're number one in the market you're in, people want your staff. You train them well. Yeah. You want to get them. They'll pay more money because and for less work because they don't have the volume. But then the other benefit is, since we're in other states and we are working remote, I can actually hire people in other states it isn't as competitive to do the same job. It doesn't matter if you're remote here in Scottsdale working Arizona cases, or if you're remote in Texas, El Paso, working remote. It doesn't matter as long as you know the law that you're working at. If you're like if I'm looking for an attorney that's licensed in Arizona and licensed in Texas and licensed in New Mexico, I don't really care where you're at, unless you got to show up to court when you got to do your court things. But at the end of the day, that is what really helped us. So there's a lot of things between software and efficiencies that have changed as a result of the pandemic, which is good. And then there's things that, we downsized, got a little bit nimble, and then grew back out. And that's where I think we are right now. Is we're healthy, we're going well, and we actually have a great group of people nationwide that are all working for the same common goal to do the best they can for that client. So there was a lot of things. There was no crazy things. I mean, sure, we had depositions and all that stuff going via Zoom. You had court hearings that were Zoom. Some still do a little bit, which is odd. It obviously depends what state you're in. Or I should say what city or town you're in, because the smaller towns are still doing it, which is fantastic. I mean, we don't have to be there then, doing the Zoom. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I mean, the crazy stuff, it wasn't easy, but it forced us to do things. It forced us to see things and make changes for the better of the firm, that I think has put us in a better place now. So it was difficult, but it's again, we're still dealing with cities. The cities pre-pandemic, there's cities out there that are just not the same.
No, absolutely.
And, I went to school in Seattle. That city's not the same. Portland, Chicago, they're just not the same. And so there's some things that those are our markets too. We work. We have cases out of Washington, Oregon, obviously Illinois. We have 8+ offices in Illinois. So it's definitely made some changes, but I think at the whole, it's forced us to look at ourselves and be better. And that's what we've done. And we continue to improve. And that's the one thing too. Been doing this a long time, and having the ability to look at yourself in the eyes and say, or in the mirror, see yourself and be like, hey, we can be better. Always improving, always want to be better. And that's our biggest thing. Anybody that says they know this business ups, down, backwards, and forward, I already know you're a liar, so don't bother telling me. I don't need to hear anymore. Because every day you learn something. You learn something from people, the interactions with people. You learn something about the law changes. So there's a lot of stuff. But
can you imagine a world where you have to, present a case before a jury that's all via Zoom? Would that be a nightmare?
Yes, of course it would, because you need to have that interaction. It's that interaction again with people. That jury, you got to sway. I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of things are going to be changing here in the near future. I would tell you that personal injury law is going to change, a lot in 10 to 12 years, maybe 8 to 12 years, as a result of autonomous vehicles and accident avoidance systems and more things you're having, right? That's evolution. Things are changing. We're going to be the Jetsons. But there's a bigger change that is sitting right in front of us right now, that is going to change the practice of law, how we know it. And that's AI. AI is going to change a lot of things. And, a lot of things that you needed staff to do, you're not going to need that. And I'm talking 6 months, 12 months.
Yeah.
And so it's going to make things a lot more nimble. It's going to make things a lot more efficient in some ways. And you have to be willing to make changes and make that move. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming up that's on the horizon that we try and be really active and involved with. So it's different. There's a lot of law firms out there that are a claims practice firm. All they do is claims, and that is going to change. Those type of practices, that's going to change a lot. In my humble opinion, I see a lot of changes on that. And I don't know if those companies, my dad actually showed me, it was a top, I think 100 things or 50 things that were going to change. And he showed it to me about 8 years ago. And it was from Daimler Chrysler. So it was predictions that he had by the year 2025, or was it 2030? And it listed a bunch of predictions. And one of them was law. Lawyers will cease to exist based on IBM Watson. This was only IBM Watson, not the AI how we know it, but that's the original AI was IBM Watson. And he goes,
not GPT-4 that can pass the bar with a 90% score.
That's even crazier because I'm still on GPT-2. So yes, but yes, I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But you'll see what he wrote 8-10 years ago of sitting there talking about that law will change. 98% of lawyers will no longer be lawyers. Why? Because IBM Watson can answer a question quicker with more accuracy than any human can. And so it's not going to be needed. So anything that is document preparing or administrative, and that's what claims. Now, I'm not saying that AI is going to start negotiating cases, or am I? But I think those that have that specialties, those will still exist. So the trial lawyers and stuff like that, those will exist because you're still going to have trials. I don't want to go so far ahead that I see 2 robots arguing for people and handling the cases, or there's no
Kevin bought 5,000.
Yeah, hopefully. I really worry about my kids in the future, but so there's things are going to be changing without a doubt. So I think you have to embrace the change because it's not going anywhere. Running out, like I said, the cat's out of the bag or genie's out of the bottle. Going to put regulations and change laws on it. It's already out.
Yeah.
Just thought about that before we were making this thing. It's going to be interesting.
It is amazing. I mean, this is something I've been following. I'm a marketer by trade. I've been using AI in my line of work for about 3 or 4 years now, but it was always pretty rudimentary. And I was around when the first iterations of Chat GPT were finally becoming available to people, or just OpenAI, Chat at OpenAI. And just seeing in the last 6 months, really, like how quickly everyone, like a year ago, 5% of people had an experience with AI that they knew was an experience with AI. At this point, I think the number in the Western world is like 90%. It's crazy.
Exploded.
Like everybody. Yeah. It's just everybody.
Now it's the thing.
It's fascinating.
I mean, I just read an article, I believe it was last night, talking about how kids lost their degrees because AI allegedly generated their papers. But AI now is saying, oh, no, we did write that. Or no, we didn't write that. It doesn't even know what's AI and what's not AI.
Yeah. You have to use AI to detect AI. And if the AI is improperly coded.
I mean, if you talk to Glenn, which he's probably not far off, my partner, he's going to tell you, like, look, dude, we're the virus. AI is starting to think that we're the virus. They're going to get rid of us. Haven't you seen all the movies? We're zombies, Terminator,
man. It's coming.
We're done. I'll just stick to doing good for people. And we'll go from there.
There you go. It's just, I could talk about, we'll get back onto law, but I could talk about this stuff for hours. I find it utterly fascinating. What do they call it? The singularity, right? One of those rare instances in time where everything just changes. And Gutenberg's press was a singularity, right? And then the internet was a singularity, and it just radically changed everything. Air travel, telegrams via cable, electricity in general. Those are singularities, and nothing ever was the same once those happened. And I do think we're on the cusp of it, and what it looks like in 6 months or 6 years is just, it's gonna
radicalize the practice of law, let alone others. I mean, what was it? Walmart's already said they're not going to have checkers in the next 2025. By 2025, there's going to be no.
I mean, I'm already employed at Walmart, and I don't even get paid. I just have to check my own bag. So,
and that's right. And that's what I think you're going to see.
If I'm checking my own bags at Walmart, which I was doing earlier today, and I slip and fall, is that workers' comp? Can I?
Please don't say it is. No one wants workman's comp. No one wants to deal with workman's comp. It's going to be interesting, man. It's definitely going to be interesting. Hold on tight, because there's going to be a lot of changes coming.
Hold on to your butts. Well, let's get back into law for a minute here. I'm sure people come into your office with all sorts of issues, all sorts of questions, and I'm sure some people come in with some myths and misconceptions about, Kevin, what you can do and what you can't do. What's one of the biggest misconceptions people walk into your office with?
Look, I think the biggest one, I'm sure every personal injury lawyer will tell you this.
Get rich.
Well, you always have that, but everybody thinks that they should be getting 3 times medical bills. And I don't even really know the origination of this. I know back in the 90s and 80s, you were getting medical, like almost every case was resolving for soft tissue case or resolving stuff like that. Obviously not nowhere near it now. But I always hear this. I should be getting 3 times meds, 3 times my medical bills. And I always have a funny response for him, or straightforward response for him. If that were true, why did you stop treating at $5,000? Why didn't you just treat to $100,000? Screw that. Why didn't you treat to $1 million? And then the other aspect would be, why did you hire me? It was 3 times meds and I'm taking a third. Why don't you keep 2/3 and don't hire me? What are you doing? Why would you ever hire me? Exactly. It's not true. Those are the myths that I'm telling you. If I don't hear it once a week, then something has changed. But I hear that all the time. Or, my best friend's neighbor's aunt's uncle's sister got X amount of money. I want more. It's the same exact injury. You hear all those things. It's so those are the myths I think I hear most often. Is it's people just not understanding the process, and then it's listening to other people that think they're lawyers and they have experience on it, and so they deserve the same type of money. When every case is different, and you'll probably end up with more money, depending on if you just listen to your lawyer. But yeah, so that's probably the big one. 3 times meds. I still hear it, which is crazy to still hear it. But yeah.
That's kind of fascinating. I feel like I've never actually heard that, but again, I don't work.
You've never heard that?
I've never heard anyone just make that statement of a like a mathematical.
It literally comes out of, I have it out of their mouths. I was told I should be getting 3 times medical bills. What?
Huh. I'm wondering what the source that is now. That really is kind of
I
fascinating.
don't know where it originated.
That comes from like a Law and Order or one of those shows, and like, oh yeah, this is what you get. Like I don't know if that's where something like that would come from, but that's fascinating because it sounds like it's a meme. I mean, in the not in the image macro sense, but an idea that's in the wild, and I'm sure you can trace it.
We get it so often. It's unreal. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one that we see most often. And again, or I should get the same amount as my friend.
Yeah, or more. I should get twice.
Well, that's or my friend told me that I should be getting this.
No. Well, if your friend said so.
Or why did you hire a lawyer if you know how to do everything?
Well, my chat GPT wasn't working that day, so
keep your eyes out. I'm telling you, that's probably what it'll be. Yeah.
Well, you've been doing law for 25 years now, with your partner. 25 years. It's a very impressive amount of time. Congratulations on that. I am sure in that time you've had some amazing successes, and also I would wager a couple of failures as well. If I were to ask you, what's one of your biggest failures that stands out? And it can be you lost the case, or it can be your client said the wrong thing on the stand, or you got the wrong witness, or whatever. But what would you say is one of your biggest failures that you've encountered in your practice of law, Kevin? But what did you learn from it? Because obviously, if you don't learn from it, it's really a failure. But if you learn from it, it's kind of a slow burn win. So what's one of the biggest failures you've encountered in your law practice, and what did you learn from it?
So I don't know. I'll tell you this. I don't know if there's one particular failure. I tell this to my kids. If you're not failing, you're not trying. And I will tell you that in the business of law, my partner and I, and I'll just say me, and more importantly, have failed over and over and over and over again. And it's okay to fail. And it's not necessarily, it could be with a case or the client, or it could be in the business of law. Because again, that no one trains you in the business of law. But it's how you respond to failures and how you learn from them to be better. From how to treat clients, from now to when I was a young, naive, idiot kid, at 25, thinking I knew everything, which it's funny because I see so many of those kids still to this day. When they graduate, I am ESQ. Look at me. You listen to me. It's not the way things work. Just making business decisions that probably weren't the smartest at the time, looking back. But cases, sure, man, there's cases that, you put a witness on a stand, you don't put a witness on a stand, you put your client on the stand, and you've spent hours preparing them and they don't do anything that you've prepared them for. There's one case that reminds me from way back in the day. This older lady that was a client of ours. She was injured. She had a big accident. It wasn't minor impact. She had multiple fusion surgeries. So yeah, she was injured. You don't just go get surgeries thinking you're going to get rich, especially fusion surgeries. It's the worst. If you know anything about this, in my mind, archaic procedure that we still do to this day, you will have adjacent segment level breakdown eventually where the vertebrae have been fused. So the ones above, the ones underneath, they're all going to have issues with them too. And you're going to have more fused vertebrae as you go down. It's archaic. But so this poor lady had multiple fusions, and the doctor said she will need more. And the insurance company didn't want to pay. So we go to trial, and she was prepped. She goes in, and the problem thing that actually really happened was she goes in and over exaggerates her situation. It's kind of like the Brady Bunch. Put the neck brace on. I can't move. And then you throw the book on the ground and he goes, what? And he moves just fine. It's kind of like that incident. That she goes to the bathroom as we have a break, and she's in the bathroom on the phone talking to somebody on the phone, and is acting completely normal and talking about the jury that's there. And the jurors use the same bathroom.
Oh no.
So there was a juror in that bathroom that heard what she was saying and then saw how she was interacting and walking. And when she walks out and goes back in through the door, she does the exaggeration again, like, when you didn't need to. Just be yourself. And we were asking for millions of dollars, and we got $1 million. Her medical bills were over $1 million. We got $1 million. She needs future procedures. They just did not believe her. They didn't believe her at all for obvious reasons. And so there's some things that are out of your control that you can prep. But those and this was a long time ago, but those one of those things that I still to this day going, I still think about her because she's never going to have the money to get these procedures done. They thought she was in it just for the money because, defense providers or doctors love saying, secondary gain. They were in it for the money, psychological overlay. They're crazy. They're just getting all these surgeries done. It's not related, definitely not related to the accident, but that's one that sounds silly, but $1 million is a devastating loss on something like that. And this poor lady, all because she thought she had to act. You don't need to act, be yourself. And so there's definitely more I can go through my head right now. And there's some tragic, horrific ones that have seared in my brain that I'll never, unfortunately, as a personal injury lawyer, we see things that we probably shouldn't see. It's kind of like first responders, EMS or fire or police. Things we see are probably things that it just shakes you to your core, and it sears those memories or those photos, in your brain. And, I have one from 25 years ago that still can wake me up at night, about a motor vehicle crash. The vehicle exploded on impact. It was a gasoline tank issue, and everybody inside died of horrific burn death, and 2 little kids were in the back seat. It wasn't the only thing I can say there was anything positive about it. At least we want to draw positive things from it, as there was a boy and a girl in the back seat, and the boy was protecting, that's how I'm going to see it, protecting his sister, and was like on top of her trying to protect her. And that's how they ended up staying. And that's how they passed. And there's stuff like that no one should see. Yeah. And it's difficult. So you have that kind of stuff. You have a lot of stuff. Then you have wins, man. You have wins, and wins, it's not necessarily financially. You can talk about 10 million, 15, 20 million, talk about all that stuff.
Well, that's my next question. So what's one of the big feathers in your cap? And it doesn't have to be a financial milestone.
It's not, that's what I'm saying. It's not that. If I talk about wins, it's having a positive impact for your client, having a positive impact on your client. Now, of course, we hope that there's a financial component to it because their life has been changed, and it's probably been irrevocably changed. They'll never go back. But today was a prime example, and I just got an email, somebody talking about what I'm going to say right now. We had a case that we're representing, a sweet client, and the insurance company denied the case over and over. It's kind of like civil action. Deny. Or what was the other one with Matt Damon? It was another legal case. It was the water, and it was like, I deny. It was like all these different letters that kept being denied. I told you before, we denied it again for the 20th time. Same thing with this insurance company. They denied liability from the start, all the way through. And we kept fighting. And then we got them to accept liability, and then they weren't going to pay for the damages. And we fought. And then we turned around and just got policy limits tendered of $100,000. So, and that just happened this morning. It's these type of successes that you can build upon. It's confidence with your staff, confidence with your attorney. It's the client elated for the result because they've been getting beat down from the beginning. No. We didn't drop the case. We believed in our client. We believed in the facts, and we fought. And then we won. And it's $100,000 policy limit. There's no other money, but it's not about the money. It's about that we fought all the way through, and we won. And there's numerous things that take place to win. And then when you win, the psychology of everything changes within the office or that team, the ticket. The client is static, but also the insurance company now knows that you're going to fight for that client. You're not going to turn over with 1 denial, 5 denials, 8 denials. I mean, this has been years. This is over a year and a half of continuing to fight, and we didn't drop. So stuff like that. There's those little mini victories. Look, man, it could be a case that they were offering $1,000 or $500, and you got them to pay, reasonable value at the end of the fight, and they paid $10,000. I mean, those are wins. It's not necessarily, again, all financial windfall. The wins of that. I could wake up in the morning and I won. You know why I won? Because I get to see how many people trusted us to do well by them, and the results we've gotten for them, and how happy they are that they put their trust in us. That's a win. The win. I mean, we have thousands of clients a month that choose Lerner and Rowe to represent them in their time of need. That is a win. And now that you have that trust, what are you going to do with it? And it's having that outcome. It's having that fight. Look, not every case is a win, meaning financially or a win that you actually, you could have gone to trial and lost. But it can still, even losses can still be wins. And that's what you have to look at things. Look at, stop. Again, financial is, money doesn't control everything. It just doesn't. If you worked hard for a client and you busted your ass, and then the jury just didn't side with you, regardless if it's a $2,000 claim or if it's, a $1 million claim, the client knows that you worked hard for them. And that's something in of itself. We had another different type of case. It wasn't a personal injury case this morning that we got. Different result, the result that we didn't want. And I could easily be like, oh, we lost, and dwell on that. But I'm not, because the case is still going and we still have stuff to do. We still have work to go. So fails, wins. Let me tell you, it's part of life. It's not just law. It's part of life. And don't take the wins too high and the fails too bad. Just keep ready to learn from it and keep plugging forward, and have a good attitude that you're here, you're helping people. These are people's lives. And that's the thing about law and personal injury. They're not a file. They're people. And you need to show people that you're here to fight for them, and not just be a mill. There's a lot of companies out there that are just mills, that are just pushing through and not realizing, sure, they know that they're people, but not treating them as such, or they're just pushing it forward. So that's one thing I think different about us, is that we work hard to provide the experience, exceptional experience, that we're going to work hard for you. I can't guarantee results, but I can guarantee that we're going to work hard. We're going to use our experience and our knowledge, and we're going to show compassion and empathy, and we're going to get you through this to the other side. And we hope there's a great positive financial outcome for the client. But if anything, we're going to be we're going to listen to the client with that psychology in mind, knowing that we're here to help and that you're going through one of the rough times of your life. And I always say car accidents are like one of the worst times in somebody's life, next to a relative passing away, because they can't work. They don't have a car. They can't get to a doctor. They don't know a doctor. They don't have money. All these things combining, and it's a World War, 10 that they don't know if they're going to make it out of it. And sometimes you just got to be compassionate and empathetic to listening. We got you. We got you.
Nice. So let me ask you this. I know you do a lot of philanthropy, and that's kind of a non-legal win, right? You're doing what you can in the community to make a big difference outside of the scope of your actual work. And, you're reinvesting the money you guys help people win in order to make society better in a real sense. Tell me a little bit about the philanthropy that you do, Kevin.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. I am most proud of that. We do some great stuff, here as a law firm. And we're helping people in their time of need. But I think it goes beyond that. And if it's law or not, whatever business you're having any type of dealings with the public, it should be your civic duty to help others, to bring up others in the community so you have a better community and they have a better way of life. I started a foundation, the Rowe Family Foundation, back in 2009, 2008. And it really was originally started, goes even back further than that, is that around 2004, 2005, I wanted to really teach my now almost 22-year-old daughter the importance of helping others. And at that time, I wasn't making any money. I kind of was talking to you about, how we started out. I was making very little money at that time, $300 gross a week. But we had our health and we had each other. And I wanted to make sure that she understood that we need to help others, and the others aren't as fortunate as we are, And so, when she was 4 years old, I took her to Walmart during Christmas. And I said, pick out a bike. What bike do you like? What do you think? And she picked out a bike that was perfect for her. Now I said, go give it away. And what? Tears and da-da-da. I mean, I wasn't as cutthroat, but I said, now we got to go give it to somebody that it really needs it more than you.
Yeah.
And so that's where it started. And the next year I would buy a couple bikes. The first year was one. Next year I bought 2 or 3 or 4. And then fast forward to 2008, we moved to Arizona, January 2009, her and I. And at Christmas, December 2008, we had some more money, and I took her to the store, and we bought 50 bikes and put them in the back of a U-Haul and dropped them off at a local radio station that every year does a bike drive.
Wow.
For those kids that are underserved in underserved communities. So we did it, and she got seen because we dropped off 50 bikes. She's on air, and now she's got the bug that she wants to help others. So when we moved out here, I wanted to keep that going. And so we started the Rowe Family Foundation. It was fun. It was still doing so. We're doing soup kitchens and doing stuff with Phoenix Children's Hospital and doing a lot of different things. But the Rowe Family Foundation I couldn't raise money. No, a lot of people want to help out Kevin Rowe's family, give money away. And I told you earlier, an interesting thing that I told you earlier about that commercial, that comic commercial, that Super Kevin was flying all over the valley and different cities. And then we put it on the children's network and then moved it on children's stations and moved it to network TV. That's when I knew that Lerner and Rowe has somewhat of a name recognition. And so the Rowe Family Foundation then went DBA, doing business as Lerner and Rowe Gives Back. And I felt that people knew us now enough in the community that now we can start raising money. The more money we raise, people will be more willing to donate to the Lerner and Rowe Gives Back Foundation because they know us. And we can help more in the community. And so we had a golf event in 2013. We raised $86,000. Fantastic. And the great thing about that golf event, and every other one I'm going to tell you about right now, is the Lerner and Rowe injury attorneys, they underwrite the event. So the law firm's underwriting the event. So every single penny raised for whatever we do goes into the foundation, and 100% goes back in the communities in Arizona. So there's no offsetting of costs. It's not like, oh, we spent $100,000 for golf and then we made 80. Oh man, we're upside down. We have nothing to give. Nope. And so that was year one. Fast forward to year nine. Year nine, we raised $569,000 in a one-day event, and 100% of that goes back into the community. And that we just celebrated April 28th last month. We celebrated our 10th anniversary, and I had a goal, which was a lofty one. Hey, let's raise over $1 million. and I didn't know how I was going to do it. We just had our biggest event was $569,000. Now I'm saying I want to raise $1 million. Well, from all the hard work from our staff and our vendors and our sponsors and people in the community that helped us out, and some big donations, we raised over $1.1 million. And I couldn't be more excited and happy because, again, every single penny of that 1.1 million is going to go to help others in the community, other 501c3s, other organizations. So, and the nice thing is too, I work for 2 organizations that give money back or give services back. I have Lerner and Rowe injury attorneys that do a lot in and of themselves. We do 25 days of giving during Christmas. We do a Thanksgiving meal giveaway. We do backpacks and school supplies giveaway, which will be happening in a few weeks. We Christmas in July, that obviously is happening in a couple months. We have a lot of things that they do. And then we have the Lerner and Rowe Gives Back Foundation that does all the things they do. So it's really great. I think the year of 2022, last year, we gave back over $1.7 million. Wow. To communities to the communities we serve. So it's great. It continues to do more and more and more. And I can tell you, the immediate, it's kind of selfish, but the immediate gratification you get from seeing a smile on a kid's face by either giving them a bike or giving them a backpack with school supplies that they get to pick out the supplies and be able to go to school and get rid of at least those obstacles to learning. They probably have others, but I love it. Our staff loves it. It brings us together even more outside of the firm. So truly exciting stuff. And thank you for bringing it up, because I couldn't be more proud of the Lerner and Rowe staff and that. And I did tell you, our Lerner and Rowe Gives Back just won an award yesterday for Champions of Change here in Arizona. So pretty fantastic stuff. And I know I won the award, but it goes to everybody
that's awesome.
in the office. So pretty excited about that. We don't really need the recognition by any means, but it is nice because we really are trying to work hard to have a positive impact on individuals outside of representing them. So it's fun stuff. And I think, again, it's a civic duty. If you're working here, stop taking from the communities you serve, and give back. It doesn't have to be money. It can be with time.
Yeah.
I'll go one further. It's even easier. Be kind. Man, what's going on right now is just insane. Just be kind to one another. One thing we have is humanity. It's what we have. That we all relate. That'd be nice. And things would be a lot different if we could just be kind and understand that we're all human, and that's what binds us all together. Would be really nice. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on in the world right now, with
amen.
Every day.
To that.
Yeah. So it'd be 100%. Nice.
Well, Kevin, I appreciate the amount of time you've given me. I think I've kept you well over an hour at this point. We're going on like an hour and 20 minutes. You might be borderline one of my longest interviews that we've had, awesome. But that's okay, because this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it, and it's just been a lot of fun. But I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm sure eventually you're going to want to, maybe get some work done or something before it's a Friday. So, maybe it's really casual Friday, but
yeah, I'm out.
So before we go, I'm going to ask you the one question a lot of my listeners do like to hear is my magic pen question. My listeners know that I stumbled upon years ago this magic pen. Actually, this is a new magic pen because the old one broke. But this magic pen is from the Spice Merchant in Wichita, Kansas. No affiliation, not a shameless plug. It's just a really good pen, writes really well. But I found out that this pen can magically make changes to laws. It can add a law that's on the books that's not there currently. It can delete a law that's on the books that you don't want there, or it can make a change to a law. And this can be a major law with sweeping ramifications for the entire country. It could be a tiny little law that's just, in Scottsdale that makes you fill out a form 18 times in triplicate, every month, right? So if I were to give you my pen, Kevin, and you could make a change, big, small, add, subtract, edit, what change would you make and why?
Man, you want me to be here for another few hours, I guess.
Well, that's why I said we're wrapping up. We're going into the second half, right? We'll pause. We'll get some sandwiches, and we'll come.
I need you to give me that magic pen, because there are a lot of things that I would like to do. We actually are very involved in the states we serve. We're very involved in with lobbyists to help us hopefully improve laws. I will tell you, there's some good ones that we've done, and there's ones that we need to continue fighting on. If it's increasing liability limits nationwide, that would be nice. Some states that are still, we just did it in Arizona, and it was, man, what was it, 49 years, the same amount of liability policy limits that were out there. That was 1530, and a lot of things have changed since then. It actually was a huge fiscal benefit for the state because of access or Medicare, Medicaid that is paying out. There's at least more money for them to collect with increased limits. So that's it'd be nice to do that nationwide to increase. I mean, California's still 1530, and look at them. They shouldn't be at a 1530. Those things should be raised up. I mean, people are injured, and unfortunately, it's kind of like, who are they injured by? You kind of almost wish, if I could have the same injuries, if I had to get hurt, I hope it's a semi that hits me. I mean, because at least there's collectability. Whereas, it's really unfortunate. But I think there's ones too that have to do with lien laws nationwide and lien laws that are local. That was something that we're really pushing hard to change. Something with workman's comp. You kind of were joking about it earlier. We're talking about. I think workman's comp needs to change a little bit, at least in Arizona. I know obviously all states are different. I think a big one nationwide, and it's not just for lawyers. I think and I just saw what the Supreme Court said this morning, so I know what they're saying, but I think social media and the owners of social media need to have some responsibility. And I just saw the Supreme Court said this morning that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all them, they're not responsible for what's posted on their sites. I think that's something that needs to change to a certain degree. I'm not opening floodgates, but I think something that needs to change because there's a monopolistic effect. I think searching people's names and buying people's names and violating trademarks needs to change on Google and Bing and everything else. I think we need uniform laws at the federal level for that. That's pretty frustrating because people are not. I mean, it's easy to sit here and say somebody like yourself or even me understand Google and Bing and that the ads that come up are ads because they say ads on them. But if you're on your phone and you're younger or older, even our age, my age, excuse me, that, people aren't aware of that and that you're misleading the public when you're throwing this stuff out there. So there's that magic pen. I can do a lot with it. And I wish it was real and I had it. But if you see the things that I'm talking about are a lot of things that just help others. I think corporate America has really gotten involved in changing things. I got one for you. Stem cells, real stem cells. Like that's a political hot wheel. I get it. But they can really help people instead of big pharma out there that trillions of dollars are making and things that are going on. I mean, there's so many different things that, that would be better than putting medicine in our body or foreign things in our body that don't need to be there. And big pharma loves it. They make trillions of dollars. And look at the opioid crisis. They don't care. They just want to make money. So there's a lot of things, man. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And I probably just made hot buttons of political discussions for everybody at the end, if you're still there. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you can do for good, for the common good of all, with that pen of yours. So I could go small, talking about individual areas here in Arizona or other states, or I can go big, talking national. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. Help AI. Stop AI. I don't know. What do you want?
That might take a couple of EMPs.
So since you have a pen, it doesn't have an eraser. Do you have whiteout that goes with it too, so we can white out AI to get rid of it, to get rid of that stuff? I don't know. That is what it is.
My magical bottle of whiteout.
Yeah, we're evolving. Exactly. I just dated myself on that. We're evolving.
Yeah, most people don't know what that is.
Exactly. That's the stuff when we were in elementary school. You'd sniff it.
That and the big fat permanent markers, man. Those things smell amazing. I was one of those kids. I always thought it smelled good. I wasn't huffing or whatever, but I like the smell. I like the smell of gasoline too. So it is what it is.
Now you've lost me, so I'm good.
This is totally off the wall and side note, but I went when I was 5 years old. I went to Europe with my mom and our church parish, went to Europe. So it was like a three-week trip. And one of the things to this day, I hit sense memories a lot, and the smell of diesel, like everything over there ran on diesel.
Yeah.
And so whenever a diesel truck drives by me and I smell that diesel smell, like I'm, as a 5-year-old, like I'm taken back to like being on the streets of like Frankfurt or whatever. I'm like, whoa, it's such a weird sensation. So I've always enjoyed that smell, probably more than the smell of gasoline, but like, I don't mind the smell.
But it's
of
also
gasoline.
what it's related to.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's this whole sense memory thing. I could tell you a whole long set of stories about that, but that's not what this is. We're gonna go into that. Long John Silver's fish tastes like Christmas. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'll let you puzzle over why that is. But
I wouldn't have gone that far, but that's fantastic.
The short version is, one year back in the 80s, they had these like goblets that they gave out if you bought their food. And my mother, I guess, for whatever reason, really liked those goblets. And so we ate during the Christmas season a lot of Long John Silver's fish. And I hadn't touched them in 3 decades. And then I got a free meal at Long John Silver's one day. I bit into the fish. Christmas. It was the weirdest experience I've ever experienced. I was a 8-year-old at Christmas time. Like,
I love it.
Why is this making me think of Christmas? And I finally put the pieces together and realized what it was. But it's just funny that way. So
that's awesome. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Honestly, one of my favorite conversations I've had. Just a good conversation. I'm not blowing smoke here. I do always like to give my guests the final word. You've already left us with a lot of wisdom, a lot of great advice. But if you were to leave our listeners with just one more piece of wisdom, one more last word that you can get in, what would you like to say?
You know what? Whatever you do, work hard and embrace failure, because it's good. It's good for you. And if you're working with people, man, realize they're people. Be kind, work hard with them, show that compassion and empathy. And if you're working with people, which typically we always are, then make sure you understand they're working with you, not for you. You're never going to be successful if you think everybody's working for you. And it sounds a little different on prepositional phrases, but at the end of the day, or words, at the end of the day, they work with you. And if you treat them the way you would treat your parents or your kids or your significant others, you show them praise and acknowledgement, you give them constructive criticism when needed, you're going to be successful. And it may not be in that financial sense, but it's going to be in the sense that you're going to be doing great at what you do and treating people the way you should be treated.
Amen. Couldn't have said it much better than that. Absolutely.
That's it.
Be human, which is also anti-AI, right?
It comes back to that whole thing, man. That's one thing that bonds us together. We're all humans, humanity, and yet we kind of lose that. That's a big thing in our office here. Compassion, empathy, yes, to our clients, but also our staff. Praise and acknowledgement. Don't you remember when you were back in school, and if you did good, coach is like, "Great job," or "You got an A." Yes. Just because you're 25 or you're 50 doesn't mean you don't want to hear that. You want to still hear that.
Scratch and sniff stickers, great word.
You want to know that you've done good, or you need constructive criticism, man. I worked at firms back in the day, man. They would just scream and yell. Don't do that. It's ridiculous. But that's it,
folks. Be human. That's great advice. Well, Kevin, again, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Really enjoyed the conversation today. And I can't wait to get this pushed out to everyone else. I think they're going to enjoy this podcast as well. If you guys are listening to this on YouTube, as always, we do appreciate a like, a subscribe, a share. Comment down below as well. What's the most incendiary thing Kevin said that really triggered you?
Awesome.
Let us know, because this man clearly needs more failure in his life.
Go ahead and email me, krow@lernerandrowe.com. Can't wait.
There you go. Let him know how upset you were about what he said. This has been obviously the Attorney Post. And I've been chatting with Kevin Rowe, half the masthead at Lerner and Rowe. As always, though we do talk about legal topics on this podcast does not constitute legal advice. And if you have a legal issue, you should always seek the advice of a competent attorney in your area who focuses on the matter that you need help with. Obviously, if you're anywhere where Lerner and Rowe operates and you've been injured, give them a call, 844-977-1900, or just visit lernerandrowe.com. Get a free consultation. It costs you nothing. I can clearly say Kevin's got a great head on his shoulders, and he is he's got a great mind, and clearly he's going to get you pointed in the right direction. If he can help you, he'll help you. If he can't, he'll let you know. Right. So absolutely reach out to them. As always, we'll have links in the description down below. And at the end of the day, it's like I always say, guys, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. So you got to know your rights. Thanks for listening. And until next time, this is Justin with the Attorney Post signing off. Bye-bye, guys.